Under the column of terrible ideas that should have remained locked up forever, fntastic, the closed, apparently now open again, development studio for the day before are back. How many of you had that on today's bingo card? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is LtBuzzLitebeer, and coming just straight out of left field, fntastic's Twitter account decided to all of a sudden wake up and post a lengthy statement, again aimed at correcting disinformation. I can't. These guys, disinformation? What the hell? Let's take a look at this insanity. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive those upload alerts. And here's the latest from the only game that I can remember forcing refunds back onto players in Steam's history the day before. I've got to be honest with you, waking up and seeing this wall of text from a game and publisher that I thought was dead, gone, and buried was really surprising, especially one that when their game flopped and was ultimately delisted on Steam for being a big pile of shit while responding back to public criticism that their game was a turd, this group simply replied with, "Shit happens. Shit happens." Now, as someone that's been covering the day before since its very first announcement trailer up to its release and studio closing just 4 days later, I've kind of been on the front lines of researching this group. I've been checking under every stone. I've tracked down and verified statements. And so when I read through this tweet for the first time, I was like, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a big old lie, and so on. Anyways, let me go put on my Lieutenant Buzz dark beer hat, embrace my more cynical side, as if that's a thing, and here we go. Starting off with their standard corporate canned statement, we worked on the game for 5 years, we didn't take a penny from anyone, no crowdfunding, no pre-orders, which is all very repetitive. We've seen it regurgitated 1,000 times over, and at this point, none of it really connects. However, I would question that 5 years in development statement, especially after Crimson Dev, a single developer, spent $1,500 of his own money on assets and invested 400 hours of time to create his day after trailer, featuring gameplay far more immersive and feature-rich than anything the day before ever launched with. Now, I covered Crimson's work in yesterday's upload, link in the video description to his channel. You need to check it out because it instantly brings into question everything fntastic has been repeating about the years in development and the amount of money they supposedly spent on developing the day before. But now we start to get into all these new lines of fntastic attempting to twist the truth because they've apparently forgotten how this all really went down. Here's what they say. We, together with the publisher, returned money to all players, including forcibly issuing refunds to those who did not request them. How many companies return money like that? And then they conclude with this self-pat on the back. We have always conducted our business honestly. And instantly, I thought of gaslighting, and fntastic have deployed this form of manipulating the truth ever since they began making public statements. Mytona did issue a statement about offering refunds, but it was in fact Steam who took the extraordinary step of forcing a refund onto anyone who purchased the game and removing it from the platform. I mean, stop trying to paint this as a case of self-awareness and resulting charity, because it wasn't. If you think for one solitary second that fntastic was this bastion of honesty and wouldn't have tried to keep most, if not all, of the sales profits by stringing along the player base, promising updates and improvements, just to make it past the mandatory Steam payout deadline and then stealing off into the night with their bag of cash, then I've got a bridge to sell you. Anyways, we then progress into the rumors of workplace abuse and mismanagement, claiming fntastic, i.e. the brothers, had excellent relationships with their dev team. More on this in a second. They then move on to claims that they're a small indie studio with a limited budget, but we've got the receipts. We've seen their books. They spent 200 grand on their own director salaries and an insane 308,000 Singaporean dollars on travel. That's just shy of 20 grand a month USD. And again, they seem to think that just like in the past, if they wipe their YouTube channel, delete their website, and disable their LinkedIn pages, nobody will ever find out the truth. They must think we're all idiots because that's not how the internet works. Then it devolves into directing their statements towards their employees, who, according to multiple sources, who interviewed former Fntastic devs. So these are people that were there at ground zero working within the studio. According to them, this place was a fucking hellhole to work at. There's reports of being locked in the office for weeks at a time when they had to crunch to get out prop night. There's brutal timelines and expectations from the brothers Fntastic, often expecting devs to stay overnight to implement immediate changes, only to have it all thrown out the next day when Edward and Eisen, the brothers Fntastic, change their minds. They then move on to claims of providing charity and relocation costs and even employee health care. And the immediate question becomes, where did these employees relocate to? Because the address on record for Fntastic turned out to be a co-op workplace that, when questioned, the director of which stated that Fntastic never had a workforce there. And the absolute cherry on top, Fntastic's claims of a low turnover rate and positive workplace environment, which doesn't even warrant a rebuttal on my part. I'll just say that every dev statement, every indication is that Fntastic was the complete opposite from these claims being made in the tweet. It in fact had massive churn rate, with the brothers brutally firing employees on a whim and consistent mentions of workplace misconduct. And if this tweet wasn't already laced in drama and dripping in misinformation, we then hit the main event. And here's where Fntastic really takes a deep hit of the old gaslighting copium bong, again leading into this argument of who actually made all the money on the day before, because it wasn't little old super honest Fntastic. No way, no how. It was those pesky vloggers. They're the ones who made all the bank with this thing. Okay, here's the thing. Again, this is just gaslighting. It's actually all on them. Remember, IGN and other gaming sites always seem to be at the ready to publish Fntastic's most recent smoke campaign. I mean, think back. Remember that 10 minutes of gameplay that was coming, and then it was canceled because of the trademark dispute, but then it finally became an article in IGN that the studio had actually planned to delay the gameplay trailer before the game trademark dispute. Again, the internet doesn't lie. We've got the receipts. This group had every opportunity to address us pesky vloggers, as they say, with truth. If we reported inaccurate information, they could have corrected those issues right then and there, but they never did. What about their misleading and inaccurate Discord statements? Delays blamed on others, using volunteers as a workforce, mega hyped events that became infomercials, crazy AI created tweets, or even their past and failed games and how they were abandoned or sold off shortly after launch. The fact is, the information was out there. It just wasn't favorable to Fntastic, and informed gamers and viewers could smell the BS and see the red flags just waving all over the place each and every time this group made a statement or posted another video. And here's where their words actually come back to haunt them, because they step all over those claims of always being an honest company when they claim they implemented everything shown in the trailers. Did they forget the game was missing zombie hordes? Did they miss the whole off-road driving in the mud mechanics? What about crafting on the fly? Binoculars, executions, player-controlled APCs? How about one of a million missing items like the entire fucking game launching as a basic extraction shooter when it was marketed and is still being listed as an MMO? This tweet then concludes by circling back around to once again gaslight those pesky bloggers, because Fntastic claims players actually liked the game and felt deceived, not by the studio, but by those bloggers. But the game had to be closed because, as they say, quote, the hate campaign had already inflicted significant damage. Apparently, petitions were created to continue development of the day before, and on the black market, copies were selling for more than $200. By the way, not because players really wanted or liked this game, they just wanted to have a copy of the day before sitting around in their Steam libraries, kind of to keep around as a collector's item, to remember how a game this hyped up could prove to be an utter sham, and the studio who promoted it would ultimately close its doors just 4 days after launch. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this one. Why now? What's the end game here? What's their motivation? I'd appreciate any feedback you have on this as well. I mean, could this be a weak as circus lemonade attempt to try to repair their public image, possibly just before they announce their next mega hype mobile game project? Because the day before is well and truly a dead, gone game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Steam, somewhere in their back room of Steam HQ, has like a top 5 most wanted poster for games, and the day before is sitting at number 1 with an explicit warning to employees: never let this company sell games on our platform again. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are of course greatly appreciated. All my socials can be found in the video description. Shout out to the nearly 190,000 of you that have stuck with me and hit subscribe. 200K is nearly in sight. And until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer signing off.